Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're tracking the hidden currents of industrial power. We're doing that through the lens of the global industrial application heat exchanger market.
Right, sounds very specific.
It does. But our mission for this deep dive is basically to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge from a recent market report. We want to give you a shortcut to understand the key revenue trends, the growth patterns, across different regions, different countries. And the projections go from 2021 right up to 2033.
A full decade plus.
Exactly. So think of it as your essential briefing on an industry that, yeah, it sounds incredibly niche, but it's actually like the unsung hero behind.
And what's fascinating here is that our source material is based on excerpts from Global Industrial Heat Exchanger Market, 2021-2033 projections by Cognitive Market Research. It gives us this really detailed numerical picture of where the market's been and, crucially, where it seems to be headed.
Solid data.
Absolutely, a robust, data-driven foundation to understand these significant global industrial shifts that you might otherwise just miss.
Okay, let's kick things off then, the big picture. Globally, the market generated nearly
$17 billion. That's $16,888.1 million back in 2021.
Almost $17 billion, yeah.
And the projections for the next decade, pretty impressive. It's expected to...
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, these numbers, they really signify a very healthy and accelerating trajectory for industrial applications worldwide. It's not just some abstract figure, It's a massive growing industry. It underpins countless others like critical infrastructure, advanced manufacturing, energy sectors. It signals sustained industrial expansion globally. It really makes you rethink what niche means in today's global economy, doesn't it? These numbers show some major shifts happening quietly.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's zoom in a bit. North America.
Yeah.
An established industrial powerhouse, right?
Right.
So this market there was valued at around $4.5 billion in 2021. That's 4,000...
CAGR of about 3.8%.
Slightly below the regional average then.
Yeah, slightly. But here's an interesting detail. Canada actually posted the highest CAGR in the region, almost 4.8%, 4.769%, growing from around $400 million in 2021 to nearly $700 million by 2033. And Mexico also shows strong growth. CGR just over 4%, 4.088%, going from about $370 million up to almost $600 million.
So this raises an important question, doesn't it? Why might Canada be growing faster than the U.S. in this specific market? I mean, the U.S. has
The larger base, obviously.
Right.
But the report seems to point towards specific, maybe more concentrated investments in Canada, perhaps in resource processing.
Like new LNG facilities, maybe.
Well, the market included about $3.3 billion in 2021, expected to reach over $5.2 billion by 2033, so a CAGR of just over 4%, 4.077%. And we saw some really strong performers. Germany, for instance, surged with a powerful CAGR of nearly 4.9%, 4.827%.
That's quite high for Europe.
It is, going from around $600 million to over $1 billion by 2033. The UK was also strong, about 4.4% CAGR. Spain, around 4.38%, also doing well.
Okay.
On the other hand, Russia saw more moderate growth, about 3% CAGR. And Luxembourg had the lowest in Europe, just over 2%, though, admittedly from a much smaller base.
It's interesting to think about
4.1% CAGR.
So broad-based activity beyond just the big names.
Exactly. Modernization efforts seem quite widespread.
Okay, now, if we really want to understand the big global shifts, Asia Pacific, the story there is particularly compelling.
Yes, the powerhouse region.
It truly dominated the market, nearly $6.8 billion back in 2021, 6,755.24 million, and projected to hit a staggering $12.3 billion by 2033.
12.3 billion.
Yeah, and a really robust CAGR of over 5.1%, 5.147%.
That's significantly higher
than
than
North America or Europe.
Absolutely. China, of course, led the charge. CAGR about 5.3%, growing from $2.2 billion to over $4 billion. But the real standout here, India.
Well, it signals a fundamental rebalancing of global industrial power, doesn't it? It has to reflect massive ongoing industrialization, urbanization, building critical infrastructure across those economies.
And India's growth specifically.
India's exceptional rate, yeah, it speaks volumes about rapidly expanding industrial capabilities. Not just basic manufacturing, but energy processing. It's bound to reshape future market dynamics, maybe even global supply chains.
So this is where the most aggressive build-out is happening.
Clearly, that's what the numbers suggest.
Does the report mention any potential downsides, like market volatility or supply chain issues that might affect that narrative?
Well, the report focuses mainly on the growth trajectory.
But implicitly, yes, it highlights an increasing reliance on global supply chains for these kinds of components. So any major geopolitical issues or, logistics, logjams could definitely...
To around $1.7 billion projected for 2033.
And the growth rate.
Solid. 4.88% CAGR. Looking closer, Argentina actually saw the region's highest growth. 5.4% CAGR.
Higher than the regional average, though.
Yeah. Growing from about $170 million to over $320 million. Chile also shows strong growth, just over 5.1% CAGR.
It's worth considering what might be driving those higher rates in Argentina and Chile specifically. Could it be linked to, say, expanding agricultural processing for exports?
or new mining projects, maybe.
They're modernizing energy infrastructure.
Exactly. All those things need sophisticated heat exchange tech to run efficiently.
Makes sense. And what about the Middle East, a region known for its ambitious development?
Solid growth too, about 4.85%.
Those figures for the Middle East, they strongly suggest that these big industrial diversification efforts, these national development plans, they're really contributing. You know, given the push to diversify away from just oil and gas,
Right.
we're seeing major investments in petrochemicals, advanced manufacturing, even new sustainable energy projects. All that drives demand for these critical components. It's a clear sign of their long-term economic strategy playing out.
Okay, finally, let's look at Africa.
The emerging potential.
Exactly. Revenues grew from around
$660 million in 2021, $658 million to over $1.1 billion projected for 2033. That's a CAGR of about 4.
Perhaps growing manufacturing in those key countries like South Africa and Nigeria.
the challenges remain, presumably.
Oh, absolutely. The continent faces unique infrastructure and investment challenges, no doubt. But these numbers highlight these focused growth points that are, definitely worth watching closely.
So after this deep dive, wrapping this up, what's the key takeaway? We've seen a clear, pretty robust overall growth trajectory for this global market, right? Going from nearly $17 billion up to almost $29 billion by 2033.
clearly leading in both size and growth rate, followed by solid expansion pretty much everywhere else: North America, Europe, South America, and then emerging potential in the Middle East and Africa.
Yeah, a truly
And this really begs a larger question, perhaps, for you to consider. How might these varying growth rates we've discussed, especially in those rapidly developing regions like Asia Pacific, parts of South America, Middle East, how might that signal a broader ongoing shift? A shift in global industrial power, maybe, and in energy efficiency priorities.
Moving beyond the numbers themselves.
Exactly. Think about how these seemingly niche numbers actually reflect massive underlying economic and technological transformations, the kind that will likely
likely shape the world for decades to come. It's more than just data points, it's part of a grand narrative.